Hello everybody, good evening. Professor Lima here. I'm very happy today, as usual, I'm always happy, but to have a good friend of mine that is coming to visit us and have a chance to discuss a very interesting thing, which is about generative AI. And the conversation is very broad. We're going to make it objective. And without further ado, so Lalo, thanks for coming. It's my pleasure to have you here with us tonight. And I know Lalo for quite a number of years. Today we were talking about that, about almost 20 years, right?
Yeah, we know.
I was 15 years old when I met you, but anyway. So Lalo, so first of all, thanks for coming. It's really always a pleasure to see you around. A lot of knowledge in technology and how this thing is being applied. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your story, your work, what you do, etc. before we start our interview.
Sure. First of all, thank you, Alex, for the invitation. Thank you for the university for providing me the opportunity to share my thoughts, my learnings on what we are doing now. So it's a pleasure to be here, and I am hope that you're going to be enjoying it as I am enjoying preparing it. So the first thing is about myself. I've been working in Microsoft for about 22 years. Most of them here in the U.S. I joined in Argentina, where I'm originally from. I worked there 2 years, and then I moved to the U.S. I have different roles, but as soon as the cloud started, I started working with the cloud, dealing with governments, trying to convince governments they have to use the cloud, or trying to understand what we have to do as a corporation to be more effective in the way that we are reaching the government. So I start the cloud as soon as it is ramping up. I have different roles in governments, managing all the Azure-related work for governments first in Latin America, then in Americas. Then I move it out to global. I have a global position. Then I get back to Latin America because I really enjoy living here in Florida. And then I move back to the U.S., where now I am working as leading a team of architects that are working with the more important high-tech companies in the northeast of the United States. So that is where I am right now, working with, especially with data. Our focus is problems around what we call data and AI, and this is the subject of our conversations daily.
Yes. So Lalo, when you and I talk about you coming, we discuss the idea of the importance of generative AI. Because it's not just something, it's not a technology conversation, it's a broader conversation that covers healthcare, education, management, technology, pretty much government, nonprofits, everybody, right? So to start our conversation, tell us from your perspective how you see artificial intelligence, before we get to generative AI, artificial intelligence in general developing the next couple of years right now, and how you see these things evolving from a global, from a general, professional, personal life standpoint.
Sure, that's a great question. First of all, AI was around us since 1965, 66, something like that. When we started working, Minsky started working with neural nets and inference work. There was a lot of discussion, academic discussion, back in those days, and it was dormant until we they invented they designed the neural networks. And the neural networks needed a lot of computing power that was not available at that time, though. So the marriage between cloud and AI make it, really take off, and that's why we are seeing a lot of movement now. There is a huge revolution, given the fact that we have now computing power that was not available there, and when we put again the neural networks in the academics, they start warning a lot of new developers, such as the transformative models that they are being used in the current set of solutions around generative AI. So right now is a time of amazing acceleration in terms of what we can do in AI, as well as generating tons of opportunities around business and around new ways of interacting with our peers.
So how you see AI being used? Because there's a lot of discussion at so many avenues, right, in terms of the social aspect, the economic aspect, the government aspect, the technology aspect, the business aspect, so many ways of seeing it, right? How you see this thing in terms of the real day-to-day. For example, people say that a lot of jobs are going to be eliminated, right?
Yeah.
Some people say, many jobs will be created. So what is your take on what's going to happen? Let's say, we cannot predict 10 years, but let's say a couple years on the road, how you see those things, what is going to happen?
I think that we are better predicting the short term than the longer term. Right? We cannot foresee what's going to happen in the long term, but there is a lot of fear, and I think that there is always been fear in the world when there is new technology that are coming out, and there is a fear that the world is going to end, or there's going to be no more shops, or we are not going to know, we are not going to have a role in the world, right? I think that right now that's happening as well in the discussions with AI in general. I believe that I am more optimistic. My view in general is more optimistic, and I believe that it's a transformative thing as all other transformative things were, right? If you think about the mechanical revolution that happened around the 60s,
right,
or the 17th century, sorry, the acceleration that happened and the well-being that came for the humanity in that time was amazing. So I believe that we are in the verge of a similar opportunity in terms of a society, right? But there is still we are discovering, right? We are really discovering because of the velocity. I think that the velocity is the thing that is changing everything. And of course, because we are in the time that this is being creating, there are tons of opportunity for business, for way of engaging education, for way to create new things from the technology standpoint, and to treat patients in the healthcare industry. So there are many opportunities right now. They are burning, and we are really start seeing them come across.
Right. So, but because it's a huge conversation, it's very broad. We're going to take hours. But to make a kind of a shorter discussion, let's start from a business perspective, right? General business, any business, how you see employees and employers working using AI. Because some places say, well, we're going to have a company completely driven by AI, and some other organizations that I've seen, they say, well, I don't think we're ready because the data, is not in good shape. So how you see organizations, regardless of the business where they are in, dealing with AI?
In the long term, all organizations are going to be reshaped, or all business are going to be reshaped because of the AI, right? There are going to be new models, but there are other models that they are more far from our hands than the thing that we have here. Generative AI and all these things that people know as a ChatGPT are changing the face of the thing that we are doing, and how that can be landed in a company. Everything that you have to repeat. I mean, if you have to generate sales offerings, or you have to create reports for the end of the year, or you have to create legal documents that they are related to your contracts. Those all the things that they take a lot of time to create, now they can be reduced to almost nothing. So this is reducing white collar work, but at the same time it's creating new opportunity, because all this energy that is being focusing on these repetitive tasks can be refocused to create new business opportunities.
Yeah, because it's a good discussion. Sometimes people say, well, AI is going to take jobs away from people. Maybe. But there's also, like you said, a generation of new jobs, and that happened in the Industrial Revolution in England a long time ago. So there were some jobs eliminated, new opportunities were created. So I think that, how about using AI, for example? How you see from your recommendation, when you deal with companies or organizations, how you recommend them to approach AI in their business?
That's an amazing question, because this is a question that we are having almost every day with the companies that we are dealing with. The people, tend to be stopped by analysis, right? They say, okay, we're going to have to find the way that we're going to land AI in this organization. We have to catalog all the data. We're going to find the best use cases, and we're going to define top-down strategy that going to be landed. Or they contract, or they hire like a multi-million-dollar engagement with big names consulting that they're going to help them to define the AI opportunities. My advice is the opposite. Is you be nimble, start with something that is a pain, something that is repetitive, and start using that as a first case, and start using them as a learning opportunity for the organization, and spreading out these in other aspects of the organization. If you ask me what are the best cases that I have seen, are in this second pattern rather than the first one, when they are starting with something simple, something very concrete, and they leverage everything from there.
Yeah, one thing I want to ask you is about this, because the topic of our conversation is generative AI, which is a subset of the overall AI bag, right? And a lot of people use AI as its generic term without knowing that AI is a bag of goodies, right? Lots of things. So let's kind of narrow, because then we're going to also go to another, direction, lots of directions about generative AI. So tell us a little bit about, for our crowd is watching us, about generative AI, how you see that particular technology playing a role in the next couple of years.
That's perfect, and I think that there is a lot of confusion around that.
Yes.
Because the normal AI models that have been around for a while can be used for many different purposes. So these are the models. Sometimes these models are a little bit more in the infancy, and other models are more mature. But it depends on what you are trying to accomplish. But going specifically to generative AI, this is a space where you can have with these use cases that I mentioned before, right? Mm-hmm. With generating documents. The generative AI is this new development that came with the generic name that is ChatGPT now, or what is being called as in the industry as large language models, that they are being pre-trained by somebody, and you can take advantage of that. I think that there is a huge opportunity there, because somebody make a huge investment, like OpenAI and Microsoft together, to pre-train those models, so you can take advantage of them to use for your own purposes, and you can create your own cases. And lately, I would say in the last year and a half, things in the AI are moving really, really fast. You have to think about that. There are people that start thinking now about this, what is being called small language models, which is models that you can train in your own facilities, on your own rented computer in the cloud, and you can use for your own purposes, and you are going to be in charge of training them, but that's going to be way more effective from the cost point of view, and also they're going to be more specific for your problem in hand, and they're going to give you more return on investment. I am seeing a certain trend around that. I don't recommend that thing for the people that are starting, because they need a steep curve to realize the value. But when you have a couple of shops done, this is something that is in developing in the industry now, and I believe that it's going to have a very important role in the next couple of years.
So let me ask you a question, because AI fundamentally puts the data models, the data quality into high gear, because without good quality data, there's no AI. So how you see organizations in terms of the data aspect? Because a lot of times people don't have that data under control. The data models are not there. They're not really well developed. A lot of data is corrupted or not clear. There's a lot of uncertainty about if the numbers are correct. Tell us a little bit about your thinking in this case, the infrastructure of AI, right?
Yeah, there are a couple of things. Of course, it's the infrastructure of the data itself, but there is a word that is being commonly used, that is data governance, which is exactly what you described, right? How you know what data you have, what is the authoritative source for a particular piece of data in your organization, and who is a steward for that, and who owns that, and who maintains that this data is accurate. That's a trend that is becoming more and more important, because essentially what you're saying, right, that the data is kind of the oil, as somebody says many years ago. Right. The new oil is the data. So, and if you look at that analogy, which I use a lot with some startups and some companies, that they are sitting in a lot of data. It's like they are the oil Saudi Arabia, where they are sitting in tons of oil and they are not taking advantage of that. Right. But you have to learn, and you have to you have to crawl first before running. So that's important. That's why I get back to the point that you have to start, or I will recommend everybody to start in nimble steps. But definitely data governance is a big topic, and that's something like in Microsoft and our conversations, it's a everyday conversation about it.
Yeah, because there's other developments which impacts any business, not just technology. For example, the Internet of Things is not just a technology discussion. The Internet of Things also covers healthcare, the integration of multiple devices. So what happens today is that technology and business as a general word is becoming convergent. So now it's almost like the business of IT business, right? So it's common this merger, and that becomes a complicated conversation, because it's never like before when you have, this is the IT group, this is the business group. So now it's all kind of mixed. And one of the things is data, right? which we just talked about, the data governance, which is also a problem. The other one that I wanted to mention is the security of the data, right? The privacy, security, because once you get these AI models tapping data from all over the place, you open up a lot of weak links and a lot of exposure to hackers and stuff like that. So how you see the security aspect of AI?
That's a very important thing. As a matter of fact, today I had 2 meetings about that thing, how we can secure data in a better shape, and how we can secure our infrastructure. It's also a problem that is tied to the fact that most of the organizations now are moving to the cloud, right? And the cloud, everything is kind in the open, and there is not a defined border between you and the outside world, as it happens in the old infrastructure, right? In the cloud, everything is in there, and everybody can access the information as long as they have the right credentials and they have the right way to get to it. So that's more important, and I think that there are a lot of development there. Going back to the data governance thing, one thing that I have seen a lot of development, I would say that this is a piece that I am amazed of the quality and quantity of innovation that there are, is how you can use as well generative AI to build better beta models for your own data. So it's kind of the dog eating his own tail, right?
Food, right?
Yeah, or his own food, evasion tail, like cycle thing. But it is amazing because I believe that this is needed. If you look at the effort to, in a large corporation to understand the data asset that they have, it's a daunting work. So that's why I believe that the help of these type of things are going to be amazing, and definitely we are working in that direction.
So one thing I want to tell the audience is that we usually, when we talk about AI, is immediately we think about the developers and the technology people, but reality is that AI is part of our everyday life. For example, when you have something with those like, help in the phone, that Siri or any of those technologies, those things, natural language processing, et cetera, is all over the place, right? In terms of all the trends and patterns that are read in biometrics, et cetera. So things you don't even see, they exist, they are there. But and then regardless if you're healthcare or if you're in sales or operations or marketing, et cetera, AI is going to be there some way, somehow, sometime. As well as if you are in education, the schools are changing, the shape of some of the classes and things will be changing as well. So, but let's shift gear a little bit in terms of this interaction, like you just mentioned about the lack of boundaries between you and the organization, right? Because now with the cloud computing and the expansion of the infrastructure, you become part of the corporation everywhere. And the corporation is part of you everywhere, every time, right? How you see this, which is a little bit on people try to say, well, work-life balance, et cetera, with AI. Will AI help work-life balance or make our work-life balance worse?
Yeah, with the pandemic, we all start living that, right? Like that thing, and people get afraid that we're going to be in my home. What are they going to be doing? In my personal case, and I believe that this is shared for a lot of people, the possibility of working from your home, spend more time with your kids, because at the end of the day, you end at a particular hour, or you stop at noon and you can have dinner with your wife and your kids, is amazing. Like it's something like we were not able to do before, right? It was, you have a very defined boundaries between them, and now these boundaries require responsibility, requires that you put thoughts on it, but at the end of the day, there are pros as well as that I believe that they are really overcome the cons in this case, because I am enjoying more my work-life balance now than when we work together back in those offices in Fort Lauderdale. So definitely
Very
I believe
different.
that it's better now.
Now let's shift gears a little bit again on something else. Let's talk about AI in areas like entertainment and sports and other things. So how do you see this thing progressing? Because now they're building all kinds of stuff, right, using AI, which some are good, some are bad, etc. So how is this thing going on in terms of entertainment?
We're going to have to learn a lot of things. In entertainment, there is a lot of I would say controversy there about the generation of like the people that can generate like Taylor Swift, to name somebody, that is doing a recital that she never wore, right, or doing something like she never did. So this is or the syndicate of actors in the U.S. that they are saying, I cannot replicate myself with AI because that's I'm gonna get rid of my job. So I believe that the society has to settle those things, and that's again product of any technology that is moving forward. That we are coming with new challenges as well as new opportunities. So I think that that's going to happen. But the entertainment industry is one that is changing as well as changed the TV. Right, we are not seeing TV anymore. So we are enjoying other ways of consuming content. But if you think about the hours that we're spending in front of a screen, it is increased significantly from what it used to be previously, right?
Now, one thing I want to ask you, because I think that the computing devices that we have today, they're very stressful. If you go on vacation, you don't touch any screen or any device, you see kind of all of a sudden a little more relaxed, right? So still the user interface has to improve throughout the years, has improved a lot, right, throughout the years. How you see AI in the user interface in terms of making the user life? Think about older people or people that they did not grow up in using technology, right? How they will see technology delivering them value, or in general terms, the user interface more comfortable, less stressful, more intuitive, etc. How do you see that?
That's a very good question. That's recalled me a book that I read recently that I will recommend to everybody. That is How to Do Nothing from Shane.
That looks good, man. How
which
to do
essentially
nothing makes a lot of money.
Yes,
That's good.
but the author is reflecting on that type of thing, and I believe that at the end of the day, it ends in how you manage everything that you are doing in a responsible way, right? Yeah. In this particular book, it takes a lot about the way that the platforms are pushing you to go to the screen, right? Like how Facebook or Instagram or other players that they are being, I would say, compensated based on the hours that you are spending in their application. So they are producing algorithms that they are making you to stay there. Right. And the author is saying, you have to respect your own, you have to set your own boundaries, which I truly believe in that, right? You have to do that as anything that is good for you, but you have to put boundaries on it. So that's why I believe that it's hard. I mean, I guess that the question is not being settled in a unique way. It's always ending you as an individual. You have to take your own decisions, and you are more empowered than ever. But with more empowered than ever, you have more challenges than ever too.
Yes, more responsibilities, etc. In terms of what to do and not to do. And another thing I was going to ask you, your opinion in a different place, which AI also people discuss that will impact, which is about the economics, generation of employment, retraining the workforce to be able to use AI in a productive way, et cetera, et cetera. I think there's a lot of hype in terms of I think that AI is still a long way to go to become what we see in Star Wars and those R2D2 androids. We are still far away from that. We have narrow AI, not general AI, right? So we have NAI. But the idea is, in terms of these reshaping and retraining of the workforce or people preparing, because we have in Atlantis University a lot of students are going to go to the job market sometime sooner or later. What is going to happen to them in terms of what they have to be watchful in terms of their future?
That's an amazing question. And also, I get back to my book recommendation as I did before. I will recommend you 2 books in that context. That they are talking that particular topic specifically. Mm-hmm. One is Hit Refresh, that was written by Satya Nadella, an amazing book. But because it's touching both things. It's touching how you have to do, what is the relevance of AI in the market, and I would say that he foresee what we are living nowadays, and he walked the talk, because right now Microsoft is representing very well the changes in AI, and the other thing that he mentioned is how you have to be flexible to be working in the future, how you have to maintain yourself employable in the coming years, and that's important topic. And the second book is a consequence of the first one, that is Growth Mindset. That's the name, Growth Mindset by somebody. By the author is from the Stanford. The the growth mindset says that you have to deal with everything that you are doing in every day like an opportunity to learn. You are in constant learning. There are people that they tend to believe that whatever they are doing, that's fixed, and you are not going to be able to learn. The times that we are living now are more than ever that thing, stressing that relevance of the big be in front of the thing with the nimble mindset, where you are learning. You don't know everything. You have to learn. You're gonna fail. Maybe you're gonna shock yourself in doing something that is not right, but you are gonna be learning and continuing learning. Is if you think about, we were talking about Microsoft. You think about why I was hired 25 years ago, 23 years ago when I was hired, compared with my current abilities that I have in nothing. If we are maintaining my ability that I have in that time, I will be fired a long time ago. So I think that this is more important for everybody, that maintain that nimble opportunity. Maybe they are coming to the market with, out of the school, and they come from a period where they learn a lot. They have to maintain that open mindset to continue learning, and they're going to be continue. That's sometimes for some people that's bad, but I believe that this is the more important thing, that you continue learning, you continue understanding that you don't know everything, that you're never going to know everything, and that you have to learn from everybody, and you have to be flexible enough to learn new things, and don't be afraid to fail, because fail is in nature of this new economy.
No, this is an interesting point. I remember many years ago you mentioned a book, the one that get famous about with Peter Drucker on the knowledge economy, etc., and the information age being built. At
Alfred Toffler, I mean,
yes, Alfred Toffler, about what is going to come in with the availability of information. I think when AI became more, because as you said, AI has been around for many years. When I was in school, we were doing projects in Europe, we were using neural networks, and nobody believed them, nobody even understand them, right? But anyway, so when we look at this ability of learning, because a lot of times when I look at, when you look at our grandparents, etc., you see people doing the same thing for 20 years. So they have 1 year of experience 20 times over, right? The same job, the same work 20 times over. Now it wouldn't be acceptable or possible, right? So I usually tell the students that with failure comes great pain and great pleasure, because that's how you learn, unfortunately. So we normally learn with failures a lot more than with good things that we have done, because the failure gives you immediate feedback, right? The results are right there, right? You see.
Correct.
So, and AI just make that much bigger.
The AI is accelerating everything. So, and the AI is right now is creating a lot of waves and a lot of new opportunities, because the market right now is in a kind of a Cambric state, right? Cambric as the age that everything changed in the earth. Yeah. I think that this is what's happening with AI. AI is accelerating everything as well as the cloud. I always, when I was talking about cloud adoption and all that thing, I always mentioned in the past that the more understood or the more less understood effect of the cloud was the way that it changed the time variable, the way that you change everything. Because if you think about in the past, you have one computer and you have to spend thousands of hours. You have to in that computer you have to spend thousands of hours computing in that computer. Now you can parallelize everything and you can spend maybe this 1 hour in 1,000 computer, and that's changing the time. I mean, from the cost perspective, it's the same, but from the time perspective, it's not the same. And that's what cloud is changing nowadays, and this is accelerating in the AI space. So the time is a more less understood variable effect of this cloud infrastructure and the AI. So that's why when you think about yourself, when you think about your employability, I would say, the more important thing is that you keep yourself nimble. You have to keep learning. If you are in a position where you are enjoying but you are not learning, maybe you have to take around and look for opportunities where you can learn, because the time is limited and learning is nowadays more important than ever.
Yeah, that's what I agree with you, that we are in a time of this transition, right? That is an opportunity for us to grow and learn like never before, right?
Correct.
And you have to take advantage of these opportunities, right? To really build that curiosity within yourself, within the population, the people, right? And give them the chance, so we need to have access to that technology. I think AI can also from a social perspective, I think AI can also be used to expand the reach of individuals that do not have access to technology or education, etc., and make it more available, more easier, more interactive, so people get more motivated, etc. So I think there's also a social aspect of AI as well.
Correct. We always mention when we are dealing with governments with the cloud,
Right.
that cloud was extremely democratizer, because you have the same access of computing power an individual or a startup from let's say Colombia or Peru than Bank of America here in the U.S. As long as you have your support and you have the business case and the business alignment with it, you can have the same computing power, and that's extremely democratic. And the AI is kind of the same thing. The models that they're being pre-trained with OpenAI and Microsoft together, they can be used by anybody. It can be used in the same. It's the same thing that you can use you as a startup in any country, Latin America or here in Miami. And then anything that's happening in the Bay or New York.
Yeah. Now, for example, you mentioned that. I just wanted to make a comment about company. Many countries in the world are mobile first because people have no money to buy a computer, and they do everything through their mobile phones. And you go to a very remote area, a little village or something, and you have connectivity, and you can talk and do things. And sometimes they can sell their products. They can see the market value of their produce if they're doing like farming or whatever. So that's amazing, right? Joint with microcredit, etc. So you build for the good, but we're not going to talk about the bad, because I think let's talk about the good aspects, right, of AI, because there's also another bad aspect that I'm going to kind of leave it out. But the opportunity is tremendous for. So I want to ask you a question, Lalo, from your experience. You just mentioned a little bit about the interest in learning, etc. When you look at professionals, just to kind of net it out, professionals that are studying now, or professionals in general, because we always study all the time, what they have to do to keep them growing in their careers, etc.
I'm gonna share with you the way that I am approaching when I have to hire a candidate. That the question I'm gonna be doing, because I always read the resume and know about the experiences, and in general, people that are coming to that point, they are good. I am always trying to ask, tell me about the project where you work at. Tell me what you work. What you have done and what you have learned. That's the more important thing. And the way that they explain and they tell the story about these parts is the more important. And I believe that's important for everybody. That keep doing and keep in mind what you are doing, why you are doing that, and what you are learning. That's the more important. Regardless of anything, that's the more important factors. And again, if you're not learning, maybe that's not worth the value of being there.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you just mentioned the thing about the people that we're talking about, and hiring individuals, and that doesn't apply only for people that recently graduates. Apply for any
for everybody.
Right?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, and this is as any muscle, right? You have to keep exercising, right? I mean, you cannot start exercising like you never learn anything, and then all of a sudden you're gonna learn in the 40s or in the 50s. That's not gonna work. You have to keep learning all the time, reading and showing, and also tinkering. You have to tinkering. That's why tinkering with the cloud and everything is very cheap, and you can go to any big platform. Of course, there is one that is close to my heart, but but you can go to anyone, and then you can learn and play and learn about with it.
Yeah, this is something that I found. I always tell people that you have to treat your job, whatever it is, as a learning platform.
Correct.
Right? If you treat your job as a way to make money or something that you want to be promoted, I think those are consequences of your learning process. Because if the learning is not there, in this economy that we're going to, and the things AI have accelerated, I think we are in the wrong direction. You are, or the person is in the wrong direction.
Correct,
right?
because the velocity, as you said, the more important thing is acceleration. The velocity is going to change anything. It's going to change every business. That's
for the good and for the bad. Because
for the good and bad.
For they say all the stress that we are embedded, etc. But on the other hand, those things add value in terms of your own growth. I see that although we have lots of challenges this time that we are living, there's a lot of interesting opportunities, right? In the last 10 years, just 10 years, things change a lot, right?
Totally.
The cloud became, because there was some experiments with the cloud before, but now the cloud and the changes in every kind of business is affected by that, right? Healthcare, hospitals, For example, education, government, e-government, for example, right? You can do lots of things online. You don't have to be in a big line to get a driver license, for example, in the United States, right? You do, for example, manufacturing. You connect with your customers, suppliers, etc., right? You do sales, business development. You can do Zoom and call and this and that. So all kinds of ways to connect with people. And you also can understand trends and make them available to individuals to start to make decisions more informed, right? But what else you see a lot of? What else points that you wanted to mention before I open to people to ask questions? What else you see in the next couple of years? There'll be some of things for us to be aware.
No, there are many new developments that we are always keep an eye on that, right? Like quantum computing, like what we're how that's gonna be adding value to the market. I think that is still need to be answered, right? And I believe that right now, in the next couple of years, the revolution around AI is going to dominate the conversation. You know, that's happening to us, every day. And last, I would say, 24 months or maybe less than that, 18 months. Everything, every conversation was dominated by the AI, and I believe that that's happening nowadays, and that's going to happen in the next. But something is going to come, right? Because when we work together, maybe in that time was a lot of in the table the discussion about migrating from the mainframes to the 3-tier applications. Now it's a different conversation. Every time it's going to be new, and I think that we have to be nimble to learn. We're going to be learning. It's impossible to foresee where they go. Nobody knew OpenAI or ChatGPT where they're going to go, and in 3 weeks it got to the 1 billion users. So imagine the velocity of the thing that happened.
No, and generative AI, which is our topic that we start talking about, is an amazing tool that can be added to your creativity, etc. You can use it as a starting point instead of doing a Google search or something or any other search online to find something. You can do, for example, ChatGPT can help you to put together lots of starting points, right? So people say, well, ChatGPT was going to make us dumber. I don't think so. I think it's going to give us a lot of resources to potentialize our creativity, think a little out of the box and whatever, right?
Exactly.
And you can build code, but the code itself doesn't work without your touch. Or if you do a paper using ChatGPT, is very mechanical. You need to do yourself, your sauce, your spice. So I think at the end of the day, it gets more and more interesting, right, in terms of what you can do, right? And just to mention generative AI, right? Now I was telling you about the code that I generated for creating buttons for Excel. But for example, no big deal. I just check the code itself. It gave me to be a starting point to do the code. It was like save a lot of time. So it's a huge productivity tool, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like, as you said, it's like the initial, because I have seen that reaction when I was a kid and the numeric calculators came out. My grandma saying, no, don't use that because you're going to lose your mathematical abilities, right? And now everybody's used them. And I don't think that we are losing as a society our mathematical capabilities, right?
No, when I was a kid, for example, I was very proud that I knew all the phone numbers of my friends and relatives on top of my head. Now we have them in a cell phone, right? So we don't use that anymore. But still doesn't mean we are dumber. I think we are just using different approaches, right? All right, Lalo, any final comments before I open?
No, I think that we are living in formidable times with AI, and also I will recommend to everybody that keep nimble, keep learning, and keep failing and recovering from it, and you're going to find success for sure.
Yeah, that's a thing that I think is very important, comment that about the failing, right? Because everybody's afraid of failing, right? But reality is that failures make you learn a lot more than successes. That's for sure. Now, although sometimes can be painful, right?
Yeah.
But reality is that in a personal life or in your professional life, failures give you a lot more bang for the buck to some way, right? Although sometimes can be a little challenging, right?
Correct.
So I wanted to open, Aníbal, the session for questions or comments from anybody in the audience that could ask a question. For my friend Lalo here on AI and the usage of AI in the market or in the future. Any questions?
We bore the people enough, I guess.
Yes, Professor Alex.
We have a question here.
Go ahead.
Thank you for such an informative session this evening. Our group would like to know how is AI being used in the logistics chain, particularly logistics management?
That's a very good question. Of course, there are being models that they are being under study and development in how you can optimize route. That was always a thing. But all in the generative AI space, I have seen models or people that they are trying to define a language for defining the procedures that they are affecting a particular set or organization in logistics. So, or trying to understand which is interesting use case, trying to understand from the current set of procedures, documents, things that they are not adding up, right? Like saying that they are contradiction, that they are asking you to do something, and if you do A, you're going to be in contradiction with document B, and if you do B, you're going to be in contradiction with document A. So that's, I have seen that thing that they are analyzing the documents, the documentation about the logistic, and they are taking advantage of a case in that. That's another use case, and of course, a common use case that is affecting all the industries, but in particular logistic as well, is everything related to customer support.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Other questions from anybody? I think it was De Leon had a question or something. I think I heard his voice.
Yes. One of my students has a question.
Okay. Thank you for sharing the information, and it's quite good to know how AI is emerging into different domains rather. My question is around Microsoft Azure cognitive services. I could see that there are different areas in which a lot of things are being developed. What do you see the future in terms of that? Extending the peripheral devices, how it can improve lives in different society or even human beings.
Okay, I will rephrase because I wanted to say that I understand correctly. The question is what we're going to be doing with the connected services, and if we're going to be keep developing our own models compared with more open models. And I believe that connected services is changing. If you look at the Azure OpenAI is part of connected services in our stack, so that's being included. If you look at our what is being called a speech to text to the speech-to-text, we are including Whisper now, that is a common model that is open source, and you can do training as well. So we are constantly looking at that, and at the end of the day, what we are seeing in cognitive services is when you're going to have pre-built models that you can take advantage of, you can ramp up fast. And then maybe you're going to develop your own models and you're going to depart from there, but that's the way that we are seeing it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so more questions from our audience?
Yes, we have one more question here.
Yes, go ahead.
Good night. Good evening, Professor. Thank you for sharing this kind of amazing information with us. So the whole class have previous questions related to AI and the process that can help you to develop different kind of ideas, and for example, in business. So we know that AI is an excellent tool for us to help us creating different kind of themes or in business. So what happened with the pattern if AI help us to create this kind of theme? So it's like a copyright, or it's just under our name, or how they know if we were helped with the artificial intelligence?
Yeah, there are two questions there. One particular question that is being in the industry for a long time. That is, what's going to happen if I generate something from AI and they're going to be receiving a lawsuit for some patent or copyright infringement, right? And I believe that Microsoft taking a stand on that and saying that we are going to covering from the legal standpoint that thing. So as long as you ensure that you are not enriching the models in a way that that can happen, or they're going to be leaked, and we have certain practices around that, you're going to be covered. That's one thing. And the second one is the question that is being around for a long time, that is, what happens if I am in a particular situation where I am cheating and I am delivering an essay or delivering something that was generated by AI. There are models that they are kind of analyzing that, but there are also ways of obscuring that type of things. And I believe that this is part of the learning that we're having as a society, how we're going to be learning, dealing with that type of things. Because, as a good example of what happened with that situation, right? At the beginning, when people start using ChatGPT to deliver essays and things like that, soon appears something that is analyzing the model and saying, "Oh, this is generated by ChatGPT." But then after a while, also, they came out the model that is obscuring the original model in a way that is not hiding it from the detection. So that's like a cat and a mouse type of thing that always is going to be something there.
Right. Yeah. Any other questions from the audience that we can?
Yeah, we have a question.
Go ahead.
Yes, we were talking about AI and how it will affect. How do you view the effect of AI in education in schools? How do you view that part of AI?
I have seen many usage of AI in the schools. I think that is an area of development. One of the things that I'm more interested I have seen is when you can use the prediction, and you can look for in the Microsoft side, but there are many of that you can anticipate when the particular people are going to drop from the school or the high school, and then you can deal that with more effectively. And that's an amazing thing that you can do that. You can also generate content and things like that. But I believe that all and you can be more specific, trying to say when you are dropping attention or things like that. But I believe that the use case about taking care of the people that may drop is an amazing use case that is showing the value of the thing that you can do with using the right technology, with the right mindset.
Mm-hmm. Right. Any other questions before we wrap? I have a question for you, Lalo, before I forget. But before that, any other questions from? I can see many classrooms here. Any other question from anybody? To my friend here, Lalo Steinmann.
Actually, I have a request. And there's 2 books that are mentioned that were recommended. Can you send that later on via chat or via email?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to send to Alex email. And everybody can write me to my email. My email is lalos@microsoft.com. Feel free to send me an email, and I will definitely answer. I try to answer every mail that that is a result of a conversation such as this that I have.
Yeah. But send it in any case, Lalo, send it to me.
Yeah, I'm going to send to you. I'm going to send to you all the 3 books that I mentioned.
I'll make it available to people.
Close it up.
Yeah. So any other questions?
Yes, Professor Lima, there's another question here.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi. There's another question which I was thinking about the AI hallucinations, which is like a bigger topic.
So
let's say if some AI model is has gone south. I mean, let's say it has gone into different statistics based on the data which has been provided by the real world. So is there any rollback process which can be corrected during that process?
There are many strategies that you can deal with that. I think that there are 2 different situations, right? One is when the model is hallucinating because you get out of the boundaries of the context, right? The tokens that they are being in any model is saying how much you can fill out the context. When you are overflowing the context, the model starts hallucinating. And the other one, hallucination, is happen when you are training something with the right information. Using pre-trained models such as, again, ChatGPT from OpenAI is reducing that risk, right? But anyway, it can happen. But you have to be careful of both things. And of course, there are many techniques that you can use to reduce that type of thing. But this is a problem right now, and it's amazing for me because it brought that word again, right? The word hallucination. I haven't heard that word since I was a teenager, I guess, and now I am listening to this new term many times a day. So that's a topic from the industry.
Right. Interesting.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Any final last question before I have a question from my friend Lalo? Any questions from anybody? Final question. So, Lalo, I have a question for you. how you see the connection of AI in general with blockchain and the cryptocurrency, because there's a lot of stuff that's being discussed on that connection between blockchain and AI. But I don't see that evolving very much. Well, that's a long discussion, but what is your short take on that?
I think it's a long discussion, but I mean, there is a connection in the infrastructure, right? Because blockchain also relays a lot in the cloud infrastructure of the modern blockchain, I would say. But other than that, I am not seeing many connections. Other than that, and I think that again, as everything in the industry, we're going to be learning as we walk.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of expectation on blockchain, not for the cryptocurrency only as a platform to do business in general, but has not been fulfilled, and then it's still kind of developing very slowly, except for using the blockchain to different blockchains for the different cryptocurrency to do transactions, right? But all right, Lalo. Well, first of all, thanks for coming, Lalo. It's always a pleasure to see you. I wanted to see you more times, and it's always good. Thanks for being available to share your ideas with us. And I wanted to net it out, guys, the importance of, like Lalo said, to learn, continue to learn, to be curious, to continue to use and explore and tinker. That's a good word to use, tinker with this technology. Regardless if you're from business school, or if you're healthcare, or education, or IT itself, or any other area, the technology is there. So it's going to be merged into the day-to-day. So when you go to do marketing or sales or finance or human resources or technology or engineering, construction, whatever, you're going to have to deal with the cloud, with AI, with all those things. So the biz of IT, the IT business are becoming now almost kind of a different side of a coin, right? Yep. And this is the way we're going to be. And I think to progress in this world, you're going to have to be eternally, interested in learning and growing as a professional, as a human being, right? Because there's no other way. Otherwise, you're going to fall with the speed you mentioned, Lalo, behind very quickly. With that said, Lalo, thanks very much for coming. It's always a pleasure to see you. Thanks, everybody, for the audience. It's always a pleasure to have you. And I will see you next time in our next event here in the studios, AU Studios. Thanks very much, guys. Have a nice evening.